So I will call this March 1st, 2023 meeting of the IT Committee to order. And being as how we are all remote, we will begin the meeting with a roll call of the members. Amar Clark.
Got to turn your
Here.
mic on and say it.
Yeah, Zoom promised me if I hit space, it would unmute me, but it didn't.
You can't trust this technology.
I see Bob Carroll in,
Was an attendee.
in attendees.
All right, I'm just promoting him to panelist here. Yeah, there we go.
Now, if we could convince him to turn his screen on, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Zoom forced me to do an upgrade, so
Thank you, Zoom. At the most inopportune possible moment, it's going to insist on updating.
yeah, I don't use this. This is like personal PC. I don't use it a whole lot, so it forced me to run this update. So apologies. And then when I did join, it joined me as a attendee versus a panelist.
Yeah, well, we have the technology to promote attendees to panelists. So
Okay.
we're just starting the roll call of the members attending the meeting. So Amar is present. Bob Hassinger,
I'm here.
Bob Carroll,
I am here.
and Dave Robbins is here. So we have a quorum. We have proceeding into our agenda. Our first agenda item is public comment. If there is any member of the public attending who wishes to comment on a matter that's not on the committee's agenda, now would be the time to raise your hand on Zoom and let us know what you think. And we do have an attendee. The attendee is not raising their hand. So we'll proceed into the next agenda item, which is an update from the town administrator. Evan was planning on joining us for the meeting tonight, but he was not able to join. He did send me a very brief report, such as it is, of what's been happening over the last month or two. He says we are at a pretty stable point in terms of IT with only a few ongoing items. Office 365 deployment is not yet complete. The rollout is now pushed to April 1st. Evan notes that this is kind of frustrating, and the main hangups at this point, all the departments are ready to go except for the police department. He says it's an access issue at the police department, and there's a user availability issue at the fire department in terms of getting everybody complete that. So he's said he's going to push to resolve it this month. Hopefully that at our April meeting, he'll be able to report that the 365 rollout is complete. Evan also notes that new cameras at the municipal center are being installed next week or the week after. So it's a topic we've been interested in over the last several meetings. He said they needed a new PoE switch before they could deploy the cameras. And the fire department server is at end of life and failing. They are being migrated over to the municipal center server with backup at the fire station with the backup equipment that's there. A new VoIP phone system is getting on the capital plan for the fire department, or no, police department, sorry. Added new VoIP system to the capital plan for the police department. It'll be the same system as was installed last year at the fire department. And that is the total of Evan's report. He didn't have time to get into a lot more detail in what he sent me late this afternoon.
I didn't quite follow about the police department. The server there is going away, but backups are there.
That's the fire department server. They had their own server at the fire. I presume that's at the headquarters. And he said that server has reaching its end of life.
Yeah.
And then he said his words are pushing them over to my server presumably that means the server, the primary servers at the municipal center. And those servers at the municipal center are being backed up to, he called it the RAID server at the fire station.
The what server at the fire station?
Evan called it the RAID server, RAID.
Well, okay, I'm curious what that's all about. Because we've
Yeah.
been interested in having a server or having everything in a physically separate place in case of
Yep.
something happens down at the municipal center.
Yeah, and to my recollection, this was several years back. We installed, I think they were calling it a backup device or something like that at the fire department. That I don't recall exactly what the description of that system is, but it's a system that was installed at the fire department, backing up the servers at the municipal center.
Yeah, maybe we ask him for a little more on that next time.
Yep, I've been thinking, and I think I once sort of tentatively had a conversation with Evan about that. We thought it'd probably be good to have our IT consultants, attend one of our meetings. The CMD folks attend a meetings sometime soon. So we might tentatively plan that for either next meeting or the meeting after. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I think we'd like to be kind of up to date on what the server and backup situation is currently.
Yeah, I'd like to see a, business continuity and DR plan too, right? Something in writing.
Yes, we've talked about it frequently, and I think we keep being told that there's something in place, but I'm not sure that we know all the details or how much it's changed over the years.
Right. I'm sure there was one at some point in time, but then the other one would be to David to, whether they do actual tests, right? Exercises to actually perform it. Right, tabletop and or real ones to do a restore and fail over.
Yep, as I recall, we put some language for that into the IT contract. So,
Right,
or actually, we put the language into the RFP. Presumably, the contract covers that. But
Yeah.
yes, it would be good for us to. We would be interested in hearing about that. And
well,
probably-
seeing it, I want to see it in writing.
Yes.
Well, let's hear
Indeed.
about it, and if we can get it in writing, that's even better, but hearing about it would be the first. What they think they have.
So, like I said, that's what Evan gave me to report to the committee about, what he has to update on us. He didn't have any, any requests for new things for us to discuss or take into consideration or think about.
Okay,
So that's that. Now, the next agenda item is an update, if any, on the Newtown website. I think we had this was sort of on the basis on the earlier schedule of Evan and William alternating. This was going to be William's turn to meet with us, but he wasn't able to do that. He had some other obligations, and he's the guy that knows more about the website. But as long as we're here, any notes that we want to, anything that we want to talk about with the website?
I'm sure you guys use it a lot more than I do. I poke around and check a couple of agendas and spot, some minutes and notes, but it seems to be, for the links and access that I use seems to be fine. But I'm not a power user.
I was gonna say, one thing that I've noticed is that the report a concern button that was not working seems to be working now. So somebody's been doing some work behind the scenes there, and I think that's a good thing.
Cool, good.
I reported a concern about George Hill Road out in front of me. Heard nothing back. There was there's the is the machinery functioning? But then how well is the whole system working? There was this issue about, I think it was maybe ZBA. There was a hearing, a meeting. Maybe it was Concom. It was a meeting, and the wrong agenda was posted. The previous month's agenda was posted with labeled as the agenda for their meeting. So there they go to open the meeting and discover that they haven't been properly posted, and it's clear that it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was pretty clear that it wasn't the group's mistake. What was published with the date for their meeting this month, it was February, led you to a photo, a scan of the previous month's agenda stamped in the clerk's office at that time. So they had actually mistakenly posted it somehow. This is all good, having all this, but things aren't working as well as I'd like in some of that. I'm going around today with and yesterday with my planning board, office manager or whatever she is, that she sent out material, and she sent it with, it had been sent in to us, but it was too big to send out an email, and she put it on Google Drive, I think, and accessing that's not working out at all, at least for me. And business has to continue, and I want to be, I'm concerned with having everything working right, because I need it, as well as just being out as a citizen. We're set up to make it part of the way we work. Planning board has to go to the website to see the materials for their meeting. So anyway, I have not real happy.
And I think I'm still not entirely satisfied that the calendar function is working the way I would like to see it work. And I had forwarded some comments on that to William, and nothing seems to have changed as of yet. Unfortunately, some of the issues I think I have with the way the website works are due to limitations imposed by the Civic Plus platform. There are things that they can do, and there are things that they probably can't do. Or if it can, no one's figured out how to make it do that. Or there's not enough demand for changes. I don't know the answer to all that. But
In fact, that some of those things could change with an application of sufficiently large amounts of money. We understand how you program new stuff into the system. But that's not an option as far as I can tell.
Yep, I think it's probably fair to say that the developers of the Civic Plus platform have different ideas about user experience and usability than I do.
Yes. Yes. Maybe we should be somehow taking that up as a theme to look at.
Yep, and if the vast majority of their customers are happy with the way their platform works, and our voice would be a very small voice in that.
Yeah, but then maybe what we have to do is to let them know what they're missing, what they should be unhappy about. If only they were thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I also have to say that for all the different websites that I visited over the years, even up to today, Civic Plus is not unique in their lack of at least what I think is good UI design. I've encountered entirely too many websites that just aren't as usable as they should be.
Yeah. But Linda, what was it, Linda, that you couldn't open? Oh, Linda couldn't open that stuff that was sent to us either. But I don't know whether that was on the website or whether that was just in her office.
Yeah, those latest documents that Natalia sent around.
Yeah,
Yeah, it took me
a minute ago.
yeah, I was able to open them, but it was unnecessarily complex.
Yeah, well, the first thing I got was that she had put it where I had to get permission in order to access it.
Ah,
You know, I followed the link and it said, you got to get the sender to give you permission. Well, that's not a good idea.
no.
Anyway, around and around, ended up with things that when you click on them, my Mac didn't know how to open them, or my Mac opened videos without audio, which was the point of the video.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to actually download the material, you know, the file, so that something that does know how to open it with audio could be used. We've got a lot of stuff going on just the last few days, and we don't need to know about that particular case until our next meeting.
Yeah, that's, you know, that material is not super urgent for us to be able to deal with. But it does sort of speak though to you know, and this comes up in various committees of you know, sharing documents. When you have documents that you would prefer not to have to share by email, or in the case of documents that are too large to be included in email, Google Drive is often used by people. Sometimes Dropbox is used. I guess Microsoft has a OneDrive or something that I've never used, but you know, there are several services that can be used to share large documents. We don't seem to have a sort of a town standard for that. A lot of people use Google Drive, but you know, I occasionally encounter difficulties in accessing something that's on the Google Drive. I've run into that permissions thing, Bob, that you mentioned. I don't remember where the documents were being shared from, but I've run into that.
There's a way to do that with Google Drive. I can send it to you guys, where you just share it with distinct other people, and they get a 7-day window for, you know, doing that. So when you're using the Google Workspace, is it are we paying for that? Is it, you know, the subscription, or is the free?
That all I know is that that's what our office manager figured out to do. But this should be under correspondence, pending a place to put it, you know, an actual case. But it should be in our files on the website so that everyone can see it, so everyone can access it, public and us.
Right.
I got a member of public over here.
And we would want to be able to audit or understand who's, you know, accessing it, right, in case of
No,
So,
it's public, it's a public document. When it comes into the office, it's a public document.
Yeah.
Just like
Right.
everything on the website.
Yes, Linda Hassinger. It's really important to remember, you're all IT people, are all, whiz bangs using computers. However, people run for office or get onto committees in town that aren't necessarily computer literate. I'm computer literate in a different way. I can use a computer attached to a microscope, no sweat. But I don't play with them on a level that you guys do. And I think it's important to keep access to information. And remember, all documents submitted to the town are public on a level where that little 85-year-old woman who's sitting there, struggling through can access it. It's just important to make sure that we reach everybody, not just the young people who grew up with mice attached to their hands. When I started to open that document yesterday, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what? And no, I don't really want to fight through this. I just came out of the hospital. I don't need to fight to figure out how to open this stupid document. I want it to be easily accessible to me. That's what I am as a planning board member. I'm not, I don't want to be a computer whiz person to do it. And I think you have to keep that access for the committees in line. People who work with them in the town and, all the town stuff, that's a different story. They have a different level of commitment into the computer system. But to the ordinary board members, they're all volunteers, you can't expect them to all be equally computer literate.
Yeah. I think there's an interesting part of this topic is how we make how we share documents among board and committee members, how we make public records accessible to the public. What we've done with the town website is a step, I think, in the right direction, in that, with the agenda center we have on the town website, we basically have a place where we can more easily collect and display and make accessible all of the information relative or relevant to a particular meeting. We have in the planning department, we have project pages for documents for all the development projects. That's a good way to share. And the ZBA has some level of something similar. I think it's not as comprehensive as the planning board stuff, but between other than project related documents, whether it's a development project or a study project where we have places on the website organized for that, or meeting documents where we have the documents relative to a specific meeting. But I think there's at least another category of documents which maybe could be, we could come up with some organization for that. But ultimately, it also makes me wonder, is the town website the place for all document sharing? A website is, it's good in many respects, but it's not sort of dedicated to document sharing like Google Drive is or Dropbox. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think we've got there's some worthwhile things to talk about. Making public documents more accessible, making it possible to share documents, whether it's with committee members or with the public, in ways that we haven't, sort of like this sharing by Google Drive, for example, that it can be useful, but it's at least the way we just saw it used is less than ideal.
Yeah.
And so there's, yeah, and like I said too, the topic of sharing documents has come up in other committees and other discussions, and it's something that I think we have yet as a town really to to come up with something that's really workable. Part of it is, I don't know what they're making, not rules exactly, but practices for, here's how you share documents for someone who wants to share a document, here's how to do it. And the format that the documents that Bob and Linda and I are referring to, the format by which those were shared through Google Drive was less than ideal.
It's non-functional so far. Okay.
And less than ideal can range from being
Yeah,
a little
I know.
complicated to use, just it doesn't work at all.
And so far, until my great background in IT kicks in, I haven't a chance. And I get a lot of money for doing that IT stuff. So I don't know. They got.
Yeah, well, and Google makes me a little bit nervous because, it's kind of like if you work in their ecosystem, right? You work and use Chrome and you have an ID with them, you're probably okay. But if you're not, then you run the chance of having lots of different issues, right?
Yep.
And then, as I think, Linda, you were saying, we may have people with, old Internet Explorer, Safari, deprecated, and God knows what vintage browsers that aren't the latest. So it's like, okay, what level and, what are the functional requirements in terms of what are we going to support, right?
Yeah.
Because we have no idea what townspeople are going to come in with.
Yeah, we also have legal requirements for making things available,
Right.
and we have, even where there may not be a legal requirement, say one of those bodies like the planning board might have people on it that want to be very transparent and very communicative. And some of them seem to think that doing that helps what they're doing, by communicating so that people have actual information instead of Facebook passing on. So
it sounds like we have a topic that we want to, carry forward into future discussions with the administration and the IT people. And,
Yeah. There
That
should
would-
be one method, right, of doing this
Yep.
that meets the requirements.
Well, no, it's a broad subject. But we gotta. There are sharing documents among members, and there's putting them out to
Right.
the public, making them accessible to the public. I think it's beyond the scope that they've been really able to address, or even maybe sensitive to addressing. So anyway, yes, David, right.
Yeah.
I think,
I
Amari,
think
you were
we-
going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that we can have standards though, and say like, if
Right.
we're going to share a document, it should be in PDF format, right? Or if we're going to share a video, it should be in this format. And that way you don't run into these problems where all of a sudden there's a weird file type and it doesn't open on somebody's PC. If they can open one file, they should be able to open any file of that type, right? Whether it's video or document or audio or whatever it is.
Well, actually, it's a lot harder because like the ones that Dave and I are talking about were sent as public input, public communications to the board. And they're in whatever format.
So we don't control that. Yeah.
And you have to be able to deal with it. And back to having an IT person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it's recorded for posterity, though, it should be in a standardized format, right? It should be converted from Word to PDF or whatever it is, right?
So there's I have a lot another time.
Sure.
I can't get people to put agendas out in PDF. They insist on sending them in Word. And That's not really exactly, and some other documents that, you know, if you send it to me in Word, I can change it. And I probably shouldn't, with some of them, I shouldn't be able to do that. And
Right.
anyway,
Mhm.
PDF is a whole lot more accessible, with a much wider accessibility. You got to spend money to be able to get, well, to really have much good access to Word. But Word's a lot slower too on my computer because I don't have it up.
Yeah, well, the other thing is too, with as these things go, right? It's all well and good, right? And life is good when there's no issues, but then, you know, if someone was gonna bring some litigation with the town and there would need to be a lit hold and there was gonna be some discovery going on, right? And
Yep.
things start going off the rails and sideways, then, you know, we need to have the functionality to be able to find the stuff, right? And demonstrate that, you know, it was displayed or not displayed or locked down or what have you, right? Again, we need to be able to fulfill the kind of fiduciary requirements, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to that, most of which we can avoid tonight. But
Yeah.
that there's probably one of the reasons it's not addressed is because it's not,
It's too hard.
yeah, and you gotta, like, your average IT guy might not know a lot of the problems unless he's working with a lot of the problems from the political side, from the legal side, unless he's getting inputs. And maybe at state and federal levels, they get inputs, but not necessarily at the town level. Anyway, I brought it up enough.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I made some notes and we'll carry this
Take it up at a future.
forward.
Yep.
So anything else on the general topic of the website? Arguably, all of this is related to the website. It's about sharing information through the website to committee members of the public, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think that we need to revisit the whole discussion that we had around the agendas that are posted on the website and making it easy to join a Zoom meeting, although that may not be an issue anymore, depending on what happens this month in the legislature. But
They're gonna fix that.
are they
The
the legislature or
Heard it here first.
the
Yeah.
town?
Yeah,
Okay.
the legislature almost surely will. It's only a question of when they will extend the provisions for allowing Zoom meetings. I think there's, you know, the sense we get, you know, and is that it yeah, now that everybody's kind of figured out how to make it work, or virtually everybody, they're finding that it's really good. It's been good for public participation, makes it easier for the public to see what's going on. It's good for transparency, and it's just, you know, good in a lot of ways. So, you know, we're going to be really upset if we have to go back to mostly in person. That is, I mean, the old rules were you could have remote participation, but you had to have a quorum of the body had to be physically present in a room. Yeah, and even that, the way we used to do that years ago, we'd have someone calling in on the phone because that's really all we had.
Mhm.
So we, even if we had to go back to the old way, remote participation is, you know, can be by video, but that has its issues in terms of how many conference rooms in the town hall are fully equipped for hybrid meetings. Well,
One
fully equipped,
there's work going on upstairs.
right?
Yeah, doesn't the superintendents have all that?
Hmm?
Doesn't the school department and the superintendent have all the gear in there too?
It's being redone. Some of it doesn't, some of the stuff that's been there for a few years just really doesn't get it done.
Hmm.
And so anyway, there's a project moving forward to spend money to upgrade the upstairs room to actually be, well, pick up a bit of more modern stuff than even
Yeah.
downstairs has, because downstairs was done several years ago.
Right.
They'll be a little bit better, but they'll more or less come up to the same standard. But that'll, it's underway. I'm not sure whether we have to vote at town meeting. There's money, but you have to, there's money in a dedicated fund, but town meeting has to approve moving chunks of money into doing things now. So I'm not sure exactly how soon, but that's in the process.
Anyway, well, if there's nothing else, the last agenda item is minutes of previous meetings. We have 2 meetings that we need to catch up on, but our clerk has not been able to provide us with, has not provided us with minutes, and he is not here tonight, so we really can't pester him about it or anything. I didn't get any message from Alan in advance of to explain that he wasn't going to be here, but I know he has things come up at work from time to time. Anyway, so since we don't have any minutes available for review, I suppose a motion to adjourn.
I move with it, we adjourn.
So wait, before we do that, wasn't there one item at the end that near the executive session on the agenda?
Oh, yes, that's
That's in case.
right. I've been including that on the agenda just in case, but yes, there is, there is nothing for which we need to convene an executive session tonight. But
Okay.
I've been putting that on the agenda just in case.
Gotcha. Okay, so was there a motion, Bob?
I made a motion that wasn't recognized.
I'll second.
All right, it's moved and seconded that this meeting be adjourned. We'll call for the roll call vote. Bob Hassinger.
Aye.
Amar Clark.
Aye.
Bob Carroll.
Aye.
And Dave Robbins votes aye. Motion carried unanimously. We are adjourned.